Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video. We're gonna do a Q&A style video all about going to Le Cordon Bleu Paris. I have a lot of other really helpful videos on my channel, so you can check those out before or after this one, but let's just hop into the questions right now. All right, the first question is there an interview to get into Le Cordon Bleu Paris or any of the Le Cordon Bleu schools? The short answer is no, there's no in-person interview. There is an application form that you have to fill out, and there's also like a letter of intent that you have to write. From what I remember, and keep in mind, this was like almost 10 years ago that I went to Le Cordon Bleu, I just had to write like a one-page letter of intent, sort of just outlining what my motivations were for going to Le Cordon Bleu Paris and what I wanted to do with this diploma afterwards. The next question is, do you need a specific degree to get into Le Cordon Bleu Paris? All you need is a high school degree and to be at least 18 years of age. So those are the only requirements educationally for going to Le Cordon Bleu Paris. Another question that so many people ask is, do you need to have specific baking or pastry knowledge before going to Le Cordon Bleu? And the answer is no. So I feel like knowing that there are no requirements for baking ahead of time going into Le Cordon Bleu should be really reassuring. If you're a little scared and feeling intimidated, I know I was for sure, you really shouldn't be, because everyone is starting from zero, from scratch. You literally start off, if it's still the same, in your first lesson to make like one of the most basic cookie recipes, and then everything just builds on that. So you do not have to have any prior baking experience. I do personally recommend trying out recipes before going to Le Cordon Bleu. I wouldn't want my first lesson in Le Cordon Bleu to be like the first time I've ever baked in my life. So I would hope that if you're applying, you are already interested in baking and you've tried it at home, but you really don't need any prior experience whatsoever. But of course, it would be very helpful if you had some, and I just mean by baking at home and experimenting at home in your own kitchen. The next question is, how many days per week are you in class and how many hours per day? So first of all, the standard program is 9 months long, or you can do the intensive one, which is 6 months long. So I did the standard program, which was 9 months long, and I was in class per week anywhere from 2 to 5 days a week. So the schedule did vary a lot and it wasn't very consistent. And if you're going to do the intensive program, you're going to be in class about 6 days a week and anywhere from 6 to 12 hours per day. Another question that I got was, is there an age limit to go to Le Cordon Bleu? So of course you have to be at least 18 years old, but no, there is no age limit. I had a few people reach out to me saying, I'm 50 years old, I'm 60 years old. Is it too late for me to go to pastry school? And my answer is absolutely not. Like, no way is it too late for you. It was such a beautiful experience that I would regret so much had I not done it. And I would feel so bad if someone out there was thinking that they are just too old to go to pastry school or do anything that you would want to in life, basically. In my class, there were a couple older people. I believe there was a gentleman in his late 60s when I was there, and there was a woman who was around, I wanna say, the age of 50. And I just have really fond memories of them. They were chatting with everyone. They got along with everyone. They actually had an advantage because they probably got along with the chefs a little better than some of the younger students. The only thing I want to mention is that perhaps socially the experience would be a little different for you if you are older, just in case there are not that many older people that you have to connect with in the classes at the time that you're attending. But that being said, there are other ways outside of the school to meet people and do social things, and you're in Paris, so there's so much going on. and so many other things outside of the school experience to experience. So I would not want to discourage anyone at any age from having this experience. The next question is, why did I choose the Paris campus versus the Ottawa campus? And at the time, I was living in Canada when I was applying for Le Cordon Bleu in Paris. So this is a very natural question. Why didn't I just stay in Canada? But the short answer is I just fell in love with Europe, and I was actually living in France the year prior to applying to Le Cordon Bleu, and I just love that experience so much. And I just realized after visiting Paris a few times on the weekends that it truly is like the center for the pastry world. I feel like I had so many more opportunities in terms of internships or work after attending school that it was just an obvious choice for me to go back to France. And I feel like perhaps I would have been more limited if I stayed in Ottawa for my experience. And just honestly, being in Paris, it just it's a different stage for attending pastry school. So it truly lived up to my expectations of what I thought it would be. And I'm so happy I chose the Paris campus. As we know, Le Cordon Bleu is not inexpensive to go to, and unfortunately so that is the case. So the next question that I got a lot was, are there any scholarships to attend? And the only scholarship that I was able to find online was the Julia Child scholarship. So if that's something that you're interested in, then I would just search that online, and it's on the Le Cordon Bleu website. The next question is it easy to get a work visa to work part-time while studying at the school? So you don't actually need to have a separate work visa to work in France while you're attending school. All you would need is a valid residency permit, which you would already have as a student of Le Cordon Bleu. All you would need to look into is, I believe there is a cap of how many hours per week that you're allowed to work. Other than that, the only other thing to really think about is how good is your French. So I would say that it would have to be pretty good to be able to find a job working in Paris. The easiest part-time job to try to get would be working actually within Le Cordon Bleu. There are lots of students that actually assist the chefs during the demos and do other jobs around the school. So that is something that I would look into first, because that just might be your easiest way to secure some part-time work while you're in school. The next question is, how easy is it to secure a job working in Paris once you're done school? So in a restaurant, in a bakery, something like that. And the answer to that really depends on which country you're from and kind of what is your visa situation. So if you are already part of the European Union and you live in Europe, or you live in France, or just in Europe somewhere, then that's going to be the easiest way for you to secure a job after. I was actually offered a full-time job after my internship was over, but because it would be too difficult to get me a work visa because I was a Canadian citizen that would have been getting a job in France, the chef who owned the bakery just said, like, it's too much of a process. It's just easier for me to hire someone who already lives in Europe. And so that was kind of the obstacle that was in my way for staying longer. But if that is something that you are interested in before even attending, that you think you might want to stay in France more long term, I would just try to get that information regarding like visas or ways that you could extend your stay in France ahead of time, just so that you kind of know what your options are and that you wouldn't be really disappointed in the end if it didn't work out. And the last question today is it worth it? Is it worth it to go to Le Cordon Bleu? What is the return on investment? Now, I can't specifically answer that, like in numbers, what is your return on investment? The way that I can answer this question is that it really entirely depends on you, because There are lots of people who go to Paris and attend the school and leave with the exact same diploma, but that alone does not guarantee that you're going to be successful or have a great career. It's all going to come down to you and what you want to do with your diploma. So what are your goals for after school? What kind of path do you want to take within the industry? And it also really depends on where are you going to go next with your diploma. And what I mean by that is like, which country are you going to try to pursue your pastry career? In my case, I was going back to Canada, and I found that having Le Cordon Bleu Paris on my resume was incredibly helpful, incredibly beneficial to opening doors for me. And people really recognized the diploma, especially coming from Paris, as something of value. But you have to have the skills to back it up. You have to have the work ethic. You have to be able to impress people in a job interview. So it's not just solely based on coming out of this experience with a diploma and with the knowledge that you've gained. So it's really going to come down to what you do with it. That pretty much goes for any kind of educational experience. So I would say that in my situation, it did really help me enter the pastry industry or the restaurant industry back in Canada. I had kind of an interesting career path as a pastry chef, and I was able to work in restaurants, in catering, and eventually I ended up teaching at the college level. And I truly do owe a lot of that to my experience at Le Cordon Bleu Paris. And I wish you guys all the best if you are applying to go to Le Cordon Bleu Paris. As always, leave your questions below. And I do plan on making another video specifically on exams and assessments at Le Cordon Bleu, and then another one for internships. So look out for those ones in the future. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!